As I predicted in my last video, the 2024 hip-hop civil war is officially starting to heat up, with J. Cole surprise dropping a diss aimed at Kendrick Lamar on the track 7 Minute Drill. And to be completely honest, I think it's pretty weak, at least in comparison to the ferocity Kendrick displayed in his verse on Like That. So let's break down all the disses in the song so I can hopefully explain why a lot of them just don't work for me.
First shit was classic, your last shit was tragic, your second shit put niggas.
Now, as opposed to Kendrick only dropping a single verse, Cole's track is near entirely filled with disses, so there's gonna be a lot more to break down. Firstly, there's these lines in the chorus.
I got a phone call, they say that somebody dissing, you want some attention, it come with extensions.
Obviously meaning if Kendrick wants attention from Cole, he should expect gunfire. Pretty basic, but it is in the chorus of the song, so I think it gets a pass, especially since it's followed up by a bar that I actually like a lot.
And I told him chill out, how I look having henchmen, if shots get to popping, I'm the one doing the clinching.
On Like That, Kendrick said he had his bodyguard 2Ts with him, so Cole's basically saying, how are you gonna come at me but hide behind your henchmen at the same time? It's pretty nice. But then we get to the real first dud in the song with, he's still doing shows but fell off like The Simpsons? You're gonna notice a lot of these corny similes throughout Cole's verse, and in my opinion, they really drag the lyrical quality down. Which is pretty egregious considering Cole is trying to one-up arguably the greatest lyricist in modern hip-hop. Also, it's just objectively not true. I mean, sure, The Simpsons definitely fell off in terms of popularity, but Kendrick's Big Steppers tour broke the record for the highest-grossing hip-hop tour of all time, and Mr. Morale the album sold more first week than the off-season. So if Kendrick's fallen off, then by that logic, Cole's career must also be in the gutter. But to be fair, with the Simpsons line, Cole could be saying Kendrick fell off critically as opposed to commercially. And this is actually supported by the next few lines where he says, hey, so this is a future me here, sorry to interrupt the video, but I've been trying to avoid copyright in this section of the video like 5+ times, so I've just decided I'm gonna rap over this part to hopefully avoid the bot's attention. So, your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic, your second should put guys to sleep, but they gassed it. Your third shit was massive, and that was your prime. I was trailing right behind, and I just now hit mine. Now I'm front of the line with a comfortable lead. How ironic, as soon as I got it, now he wants something with me. I'm literally J. Cole, bro. Now this is probably the most popular part of the song right now, since it's arguably the most direct J. Cole was when it came to the disses at Kendrick. But despite its popularity, I think these bars are really flimsy for a few reasons. Firstly, it's generally assumed that Cole is talking about Good Kid, Mad City when he says, your first shit was classic, since that was Kendrick's real commercial big break, and it makes more sense with the following lines. But technically speaking, Good Kid, Mad City is Kendrick's second album. Section 80 is his first, so the lines are just objectively wrong. Then with your last shit was tragic, obviously referencing Mr. Morale again, it has a higher rating than Cole's latest album on Album of the Year, Pitchfork, Metacritic, and Rate Your Music. I get that you kinda have to diss Kendrick's music since it's pretty much commonplace for diss tracks, but you really don't have ground to stand on when he's making better records than you. And then the gall to say this about To Pimp a Butterfly, an album that, in my opinion, is leagues better than every single one of Cole's. And even if you disagree with me on that, I think you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find someone who genuinely thinks T-Pab is a sleep-inducing album, like Cole says. Now the middle line about Damn, that's fair enough since it is Kendrick's best-selling record, as is the part where Cole says he's in his prime since he has been on a really good run of features, but this last part here? Bro, you were the one that started this whole thing by name-dropping Kendrick in First-Person Shooter and saying you're better than him. You can't just say then, oh, he's only coming after me because I'm more successful, when he's literally just responding to what you said. But anyways, let's move on to the next lines.
He averaging one hard verse like every 30 months or something. If he wasn't dissing, then we wouldn't be discussing him.
Again, Cole was the one discussing Kendrick before the diss dropped, so this is just a straight-up lie. And sure, the first part is true enough with Kendrick seldom dropping features, but I'd personally much rather have a control-level verse drop every 10 years than a ton of features that range from just decent to great. And then we get this gem.
Nino with this thing, this that New Jack City meme.
This is another personal taste thing I know, but man, is it just so cringe when J. Cole references memes in his bars. The Spider-Man meme bar in First-Person Shooter was already enough, man. But now we get to the beat switch in the song, and thankfully the next verse actually starts pretty well.
That stuff is triple-double, get your ass black duffel. Body bag, body bag, body bag.
It's mainly the 3-time repetition of the phrase body bag that I like a lot, since Kendrick said I hope they came with 3 switches, unlike that. So Cole insinuating that 3 body bags will be needed after he shoots them is pretty clean. But unfortunately, we then get probably the lamest bar in this entire track with,
your arms might be too short to box with the god.
I get it's supposed to be a callback to the Muhammad Ali line on FPS, but come on, you're gonna diss the man on his height of all things? Like, this is legitimately an MGK tier diss.
5'8", I'm 6'4".
So what, you think Kendrick's not gonna win this beef because he's shorter than you? It's just a really bad shot overall, and unfortunately the misses keep on coming with, now it's poppin' outside like the top of July. I told you we weren't done with the basic similes, and we've still got one more coming up soon. But first there's another pretty popular part right here after the July line. Sorry, last time I promise, just blame YouTube. My text flooded with the hunger for a toxic reply. I'm hesitant, I love my brother, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm powered up for real, that shit would feel like swanning a fly. 4 albums in 12 years, I can divide. So I actually do like the first 2 lines here, where Cole talks about people pressuring him into responding to Kendrick, since that undoubtedly must have been happening. And Cole playing the "You Made Me Do This" card is nice enough, since it does at least show that there's some mutual respect there. But the last part, again, just completely disregards the existence of Section 80, as well as Untitled Unmastered, which I think should absolutely count as part of this conversation, considering it's better than a lot of Cole's own records. So if we want to be truly accurate, it's not 4 albums in 12 years, really it's closer to 6 and 13. Which honestly is not too bad considering Cole himself is also at 6 and 13. And even if the bar was accurate, again I ask, who cares about how long his albums take to make when they're consistently better than your own? I get that it's a reference to Takeover by Jay-Z, but that doesn't change the fact that it's just wrong. And now we reach what I think is the final good bar of the diss with,
Fly pebbles at your dome, we the Stone Temple Pilots.
Not only is this just a pretty clever metaphor, but it could also be interpreted as a David and Goliath reference, where Cole is David and Kendrick is Goliath, obviously, which is admittedly a really cool visual. And then finally, what other way could we have ended this diss than with another corny simile with, switching sides like the tassel on the cap and the gown. Come on! But with that, let's not talk about who I think actually won the first round of the beef, if it wasn't obvious already.
Loaded nigga, I can drop 2 classics right now.
Kendrick. Kendrick took round 1. Look, I know he didn't really diss J. Cole directly in his verse unlike that, but the fact of the matter is Kendrick's verse was just simply better than Cole's response. The lyricism was more intricate, the delivery was more ruthless, there were way more memorable quotables and way less filler bars, and unlike Cole, he actually has a high enough level of musical quality to back up his words. And look, I get that Cole intended this whole track to be a warning shot at Kendrick as he says in the verse, but for one, I don't think the writing overall was good enough even as a warning, but 2, warning shots in my opinion should be sent as a result of conflict outside the music. But with Kendrick going directly at Drake and J. Cole, the beef was already fired up. So I think it would have made a lot more sense for Cole to go way more aggressive on the song if he ever wanted a chance at taking round 1. But then again, there's truthfully not a lot he can really diss Kendrick on in terms of musical quality, considering he's got the more acclaimed records front to back. I mean, at least with Drake he has the edge over Kendrick when it comes to sales, but even Kendrick's got Cole beat there. If I had to sum up my overall thoughts in one sentence, I'd say that J. Cole's diss towards Kendrick definitely proved who the better rapper was, as was his intention, but the result was certainly not what Cole had anticipated. Now I guess we just have to wait for Drake to respond to see if he's able to do what Cole couldn't against Kendrick. That is assuming that he will actually respond in a track instead of just Instagram captions, which is getting more and more unlikely as time passes. I mean, I can criticize J. Cole's diss towards Kendrick as much as I want, but I do still respect him for even responding at all. But either way, I cannot wait for this story to continue.